he wrote that about his dad, and now I'm singing that about him on stage. So it's like there's generations of pain and truth and hurt. My dad was a musician, but he died a year before the script happened. Social media is like a blood sport these days. Every great song is you're revealing a truth about yourself on the inside.
Right then, let's welcome someone else who is going to start their 10-track journey on Tracks of My Years. And it's a pleasure to welcome a multi-million selling artist with the band, The Script, who are just about to release a new album. I'm going to read this because it's called The User's Guide to Being Human.
Yeah,
great title.
Thank you.
That we'll get into. Welcome, Danny O'Donoghue.
Yeah, thank you.
The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town.
That's it.
The boys are back in town. 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 The boys are back in town.
Lovely to have you with us. We've just heard your first track, which was Thin Lizzy, The Boys Are Back in Town.
Yes,
Classic.
They are back in town, yeah. I just got off the plane, fresh from Dublin.
Why did you pick that?
I picked that one because it was kind of one of my earliest memories. My father was in a show band called the Debonaires, and like back in the day, show bands were all the rage. They were like the boy bands of back then. And somebody who was in the band was Eric Bell, who's the drummer from Thin Lizzy. And they were in the band together. My mum used to do Phil Lynnett's hair because my mum was a hairdresser back in the day. So my brothers have all these great stories of waking up in the morning, going to the toilet, and Phil Lynette was asleep in the bath after having a big session in our house. So we just had this, love affair, obviously, with music and musicians and stuff. Growing up, my father was a musician. All my brothers are musicians, and my dad ended up kicking Eric Bell out of his band, the Debonaires, for extracurricular activities, let's say. And then he went off and started Thin Lizzy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's just absolutely insane. So yeah, it's anytime this song comes on, it just reminds me of that time, reminds me of that period, and just great lineage and great generations of bands.
I was just going to say, what a great family connection.
Yeah. My dad. He was a great, very prominent musician around Ireland. Yeah, and he was great. Yeah, he was signed to the Beatles publishing company as well. He played with Tom Jones and Roy Orbison and people like that and stuff. So it's kind of in the blood. It was written in stone for me. Yeah.
What was it like being the youngest of six?
I felt like I had a lot of freedom, because I had all those brothers and sisters who were leading the way. So I think my eldest brother had it the hardest. And then everybody down there broke another rule to where my parents at the very end, when I come out, we kind of raised each other really, realistically. But growing up with that amount of people in the house, it was a 3-bedroom house. So my mum and dad were in one, there was 3 boys, 3 girls. And then my nanny lived in there. So it was 9 people living in the house.
And filled in it in the bath.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you about my room. So where I slept, if you when you got old enough, you migrated from the room with all the rest of the people down to, or if you need a bit of time and space, there was a back room, it was called the rock and roll room, and for 20 years people had come into the room and signed their name on the wall. It kind of looks like
this
the
is in the
backstage.
family home.
Yeah, this was the back. It was like we had a small kitchen, and
Right.
then the back room was called the rock and roll room. So my dad's piano was there. There was a set of drums, bass, guitar, and then there was a mattress on the ground and a record player. And then the whole thing looked like, everybody's just drawing whatever on the wall.
Like a changing room at a club or something.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel really at home when I'm backstage at gigs, because it just feels like my bedroom. But having that as a playground, because it was before phones, before social media. So if you were bored, you made your way around onto the next instrument. Right, I can play bass now, I can play guitar, and having the whole family come back, because my dad, he'd go out twice a week, get jarred up, and he'd invite the whole pub back to the room. And so we you wake up very tired for school the next morning, but having been able to see my dad, he could reduce people to tears just playing piano on its own, like not even singing, It's a very important lesson for a musician to see the power of music and what it does to people. And you'll have someone who's normally very quiet, but when they get up to sing, they're singing about their maybe their missus has passed away or something like that, and they're singing and there's tears in their eyes, and the sense of community that I felt the magic in the air. that I was like, there's nothing else out there than this. But yeah, we used to try and stay up longer and later. So that's kind of how I started learning to sing and perform, was because I knew there was a whip around that I could do at the very end of it with all those people there. But yeah, lots of fun.
Did you always feel that because you'd seen and been around it, that music would be your future?
Well, I kind of rebelled against it a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah, both my brothers.
In what way?
Well, when I was a teenager, both my brothers were in quite famous bands. They both had number ones in Ireland. My brother was in a band called the Big Geraniums.
Home again, where the people are crazy. Home again, where there's nowhere else to go. Home again, we can sit down and be lazy. Home again, I'm home again.
And my other brother was in a band called Revelino. And I remember my mum being quite sad that my dad manages them as well. And they were always out. They were always out on tour. So it was quite lonely when the boys leave, because all the noise and kind of security and safety is gone out of the house. So I was like, Mum, I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to leave you, mummy's boy. And then I just remember going to one of those gigs and just seeing how many girls were screaming at me brothers. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So
It's always about the ladies.
It is,
Wow.
of course, when you're heading into them teenage years.
Of course.
It always is,
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
So seeing that and having it so in such close proximity, my dad had made a living from music. My brothers had made a living from music. It was a very, I guess I didn't understand how good that was for me, because all my friends, their ma was an accountant or their dad was a baker, and they didn't see any future in music at all, because it seemed like a real faraway dream.
The next track you've chosen is U2 and One. Why have you picked this?
Yeah, we were lucky enough in our first year, when they were doing the Claw, the tour, we had our first album out and they asked us to come and support them. So, I mean, growing up, and like I said before, they were such a huge impact on us culturally growing up, to be able to share the stage with them in Croke Park, 80,000 people, and it was just one of the most insane days of my life. That was one of those pinch me moments. I like the highlight, match of the day highlights. That's one of the goals. That's the goal of the month right there for me.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot of humanity in that song. It talks about being broken. It talks about being tortured. It talks about the relationships between, it can be a father and son, or a mother and daughter, or mainly a relationship between two people, your soulmate, whoever that might be, and how hard life is, but yet how hard it is. Us coming together makes it that little bit better. And because we're one, but we're not the same. We have to carry each other. And it's so beautiful, because it is a truth. And it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up every single time you hear it. And when the truth meets with somebody who really means it and can sing and obviously perform as well as you two do, that's a generational classic. Absolutely one of my favourite songs of all time.
You say love is a tempo, love a higher love. Love is a tempo, love the higher love. You asked me to enter, well then you made me crawl, and I can't be holding on to what you got, when all you got is hurt. One love, one blood. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my Wonderwall.
Danny, we've just heard Oasis and Wonderwall. A big
Yeah.
tune from them. Why have you picked this?
I think this song was just everybody's wallpaper from the 90s. It's just every backdrop of every single thing we did, normally at the end of that night, whether you were out raving, going partying, whatever, you'd end up back in someone's house. There's a guitar in the corner. Somebody knows the chords. They're not that hard. That's the beauty of those songs. And I had a chance meeting with Liam when I was about 16. I was down at a place called Eamon Doran's, which is down in Dublin. So we used to do like a battle of the bands, and my sister's band called Loon were playing, and Wonderwall was just rocking on the radio at the time. And Liam had come down. He'd come down to this where the basement was, where the bands were on, and he had a bottle of Jack Daniels. I think he was a bit tipsy, and he was getting swamped by fans, so he kind of came down to the back where me and my mate Darren were, and we were watching my sister play on stage, and he put his JD bottle beside us to try and take photos with fans. We looked around, took his JD and took a swig out of his JD. Me and Darren did. So thanks for that, Liam. I appreciate it. But would he remember? Probably not at all. You know what I mean? We were just two kids back then. But yeah, I just remember being like, I just thought he was the coolest thing since sliced bread.
So you're a teenager kicking around Ireland, and tell us about joining a band called Mytown with your best mate.
That was my fourth band.
Was it?
Yeah. I was in another band called Up Front. Before that, just before Mytown, I was trying anything and everything. So I was like,
so you caught the bug,
yeah,
and you needed something. You'd lit the blue
vehicle,
tuck paper. Yeah. You needed it, and now you just needed something to. What's gonna get me where I want to go?
Yeah, well, I was 16. I would have been around the same time, roughly. So I was about 16. I left school early because I wasn't very good in school. But I was sitting there in the back and I was just writing songs and poetry and just trying to get lyrics down, and because that's where I knew where I wanted to go. So I'd kind of checked out of the schooling system, and it was in between 5th and 6th year. Normally you do your final exams in 6th year. It was in between that. We had a parent-teacher meeting, and my parents were brought in, listen, he's not doing anything. He's sitting down the back of class. We don't really think he's going to maybe pass his exams, but you should check his stuff out. You should check his songs out. They're really good. My English teacher. And they were like, okay, so maybe he has something after all. And I went to go do a practical because you needed your exams to go to music school. But we found this one place called the Parnell School of Music. And you went down and did a practical. So I sang and I played and showed them my songs, and they let me in. So I started there. You kind of learn everything: guitars, drums, bass, production, and a little bit of management, and a lot of skills to prep you for the industry. And I was in there about 3 months, and I got signed with the band Mytown.
What was the vehicle to getting signed? Was it a demo tape? Did someone come and watch you guys?
There was a band called Mytown in Dublin, and that's how I met Mark. Mark was a breakdance teacher.
Mark Sheehan. Your best friend.
My best mate.
Yeah.
So Mark formed Mytown.
Right.
And he already had that band going. I had a rival band called Up Front.
Right.
And we were both kind of, bands around town. And one of his members dropped out, and they were doing a showcase for Universal.
Right.
So the band member dropped out 2 months before the showcase. They were due to go over to America to Edom Festival. And so I'd got basically 2 months to learn like 8 routines, learn all the songs, learn the parts, do all this kind of stuff. But we just crammed and crammed. So we went over, we did the showcase we did one showcase in LA, and then they flew us to New York. Did the showcase in New York, and we got signed immediately there for 15 million. It was insane. It's the biggest pop deal in history.
Do you ever see any of that cash?
No, I mean, you get that and you kind of, you'd see a little bit of it, but mainly it spanned out over, it was a 7-album deal.
Right.
So it's that amount of money plus, over it. But that's if you make it.
Yeah.
If you get past the first single, it's all, barriers to entry. After that was like, welcome to the family, and we got put in a limousine, sent down to, was it 45th Street or whatever, and just like buy whatever you want. So like I've got a great photo of me and Mark just sitting in the back of the thing. We both wearing the same Nautica tops on, and we're just like living the life, we're like big, do you know what I mean? Like pop up out of the sunroof in the limo, going down, and just we did the same thing. Went into like Nike, bought anything we possibly could, back in the limo, 5 meters down, right into Adidas store. Everything again, just like slow curb crawling the whole way down. Yeah, I mean, we were spending $500,000 on our first video. There was 1.2. We spent on 1.2 million on the first album with all of the producers like Teddy Riley, Boyz II Men. So we released a song, did mediocre. Released the album, didn't go too well, and then dropped by the label. For every 100 bands signed, there's only one that really makes it, but we were probably the 99th one that didn't make it at all.
People dancing everywhere, gonna get you in the mood to party all night. Here comes the weekend once again. Jump in the car and tell your friends. Checking out some grooves on the way.
So there we were. I was 19, 20 years old, washed up pop star. Me and Mark wrote and produced everything for Mytown, and we wrote and produced everything for the script as well. But we went back to Ireland, and then went, there's nothing for us here in Ireland, and we're coming back as a failure. So why don't we just try and scrape some money together, get some studio equipment, and move over to America? So we went to Orlando first, And then we were there for about 3 or 4 years, soaking up all of the work that was there. We got to meet and hang out with Justin Timberlake. And then we ended up doing a remix for him, the song called Gone. Now I'm on the writing scene. I'm in with Justin Timberlake, Backstreet Boys, all these people. Why not? You know, getting songs. And Britney, you got songs cut with all these people, you know, back in the day. We did that for a while. And kind of, you know, it was glamorous, yeah, but you'll get paid in January, then you get nothing till March. And then, you know, same, you get something at the end of March. So it was kind of like, you know, you're just, you know, on the grind really. So we did that for about 3 years and then moved up to LA. And then same thing, you were a big fish in a small pond, now you're a tiny fish in a giant pond. And we're just on the grind again. So we're back at the start of the ladder, worked our way up through LA again. And then times were getting really tough towards the last maybe 2 years. And we ended up going, right, I just want to have one last crack at the dice. And yeah, it was mad. I was 27 years old. I was doing a solo project. People that we'd met since Mytown, Steve Kipner and Andrew Frampton, they had signed Natasha Bedingfield, and they had got this phonogenic label, and it was all the rage. You know, they had a number one with Natasha, and they were looking for bands. So I was like, well, I've got a demo. Let's send it off to them, and we sent it off. Mark was managing it. I was the solo guy. And then we recorded it with the band, like with the live drums. So it did sound like a Maroon 5 kind of thing. And they called us back and they were like, this is excellent. We want to sign it. You know, what's the name of the band? We were like, do you think we're a band? You know? And so we just came up with the name. Mark came up with the name, the script. But yeah, and then we got signed. And the rest is kind of history. Yeah.
Boyz II Men is the next track you've chosen. You've chosen End of the Road, and I would imagine that this is because you had the chance to work with these guys. Yeah.
It was around the time I was in that school that I started getting into production and listening to David Foster, started listening to Babyface, Stevie Wonder, that song How Come How Long's beautiful song. Wanted to find out more about Babyface, realised he's written some of the biggest hits that you'll have for Tony Braxton, again Boyz II Men. So I remember hearing this song, loving it, looking at it and seeing, oh, that's Babyface, right? Well, that's where the money is in the production and the writing, you know. But I remember just religiously listening to this song and trying to copy every riff and run and lick in it. And again, crazy willing things into existence. They ended up producing the first song that I ever wrote. It's the song called The Day. Sean Stockman produced it on our album. So we got the chance to hang out with them down in Philadelphia. Stone Creek was where their studio is. I'm still really good friends with them to this day.
To the west side, pushing fat rides, it's no surprise. She got tricks in the stash, stacking up the cash, fast when it comes to the gas. By no means average, it's on when she's got to have it. Baby, you're a perfect 10, I wanna get in, can I get down so I can? I like the way you work it, no diggity.
We've just heard Blackstreet featuring Dr. Dre, No Diggity. What a tune.
Yeah, man. Come on.
I mean, this one just goes off. Why have you picked this? Is this because you worked with Blackstreet in the 90s?
Yeah, well, it kind of led through that period of when we were in Virginia. We got down to Teddy Riley's studio and he's got like Michael Jackson plaque for 250 million albums. He's got a studio bus parked up outside. He's in there watching The Sopranos with the rest of Blackstreet. You know, it was insane. It was the most money I've seen in a studio. You know, you had like computers popping up out of the desk and just amazing. But we got on really well because again, if you're a musician and you've grown up around musicians, you know what the lingo is and you know how to speak to them. So it was just great. We got in, started writing. He had a small little production studio on the side of his, which he offered to me and Mark. Would we come and basically be one of his writers, the B studios? Because he had like 2 or 3 different teams at the time that were there. Rodney Jerkins was one of them. He wanted me and Mark there. Pharrell as well was one of them. He had a little studio on the side of Teddy's main, control room. But it was around that same time that we were going back to the hotel. Now, obviously, we're a big deal in America because we got signed for 15 million. So we're going back to the hotel. And I just remember this like kind of dodgy looking character just like leaning up outside the hotel. And he had like this patchwork, all denim, was different shapes of denim and different styles of denim all down, but like a two-piece suit. And he walked over and he's like, yo, I'm in this production team called the Neptunes. Here's my tape. But he handed me a tape, like an actual tape that had the Neptunes written in biro, and it had like a planet around it and a little star either side of it, and it just had beats on it, and they were $5,000 a beat. So I remember going into the room, sticking it on the tape player, right? For all you kids that don't know, the fucking tape player, and playing the tapes, and it was so sparse and so it sounded underproduced to me. Because I'm coming from Ireland and rock and this, I'm just being introduced to R&B and hip hop. I had no idea just how futuristic this was. When you hear Nerd and you hear NERD's records now, you're just like, that was the prototype. I could have spat on some of them things. I could have actually wrote on them. But we stuck up a friendship. Then NERD became huge. I told him about our band. He had us support them in Brixton Academy when they came and played. It was like it was 2009. Yeah. So we needed kind of like a big brother to kind of show us like, yeah, the script are cool. So he's like, we did that, and then Jesus, when it must have been about 10 years later, we played Croke Park in Ireland. It was 80,000 people. And so we called Pharrell and we're like, listen, would you come and support us? So he supported us on the best day. We had Bob Marley and the Wailers. Yeah. But the Wailers are still touring. So it was like, what's your perfect night of music? So we did the Wailers first, then Pharrell, and then the script. I was like, what a letdown at the top of the cake there.
Have you still got that tape?
No, I can't imagine how much. I should look around for, because my mum has... she's got all the old tapes, all my old demos. I can still see it was a Casio see-through, and it just had like that little white bit of tape, that you stuck on yourself. And I said Neptunes, and had a little star and a little I think it was Saturn, because it had a ring around it.
Well, that leads us perfectly on to your next track, Get Lucky by Daft Punk and Pharrell.
So let's raise the bar and our cups to the stars. She's up all night to the sun. I'm up all night to get some. She's up all night for good fun. I'm up all night to get lucky. We're up all night to the sun. We're up all night to get some. We're up all night for good fun. We're up all night to get lucky. We're up all night to get lucky.
Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
Right, Danny, we just heard the Beatles Yesterday. A song which allegedly came to Paul in a dream.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wow. I wish a song came to me in a dream. It's like
that.
It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I've had a lot of songs come to me in dreams, but they're nowhere near that. No, I picked this song because it was one of my favourites. Funny enough, Boyz II Men covered it. They did an a cappella version on their second album. So I loved... that's how I got introduced to that song. Actually, not through the Beatles, it was through Boyz II Men. I knew they did it, but I really, dug in on that. But I remember our first album, our manager called us and said, Paul's heard the band and he'd love you to support them. And I was like, take me now, you know what I mean? Like, wow. What are you talking about? This is insane. So we supported Paul all across that American tour. And we opened up for him in Shea Stadium, the famous Shea Stadium where the Beatles, they were just, right in the middle of everybody, and nobody could hear them. Just before we went out, we're sitting there and we're in the rooms, there's four of us in the room. And Yesterday comes on the tannoy outside in the hallway. And I'm just like, wow, they're actually playing Beatles stuff. And like, this is such an amazing moment. And Mark went over to the door and he was going to the toilet, and he just opened the door a little bit, and he just realised, he's like, he's come over here. So we like two of us like this, and Paul is sitting on the back of a golf cart singing Yesterday, warming his voice up before they take him off and he goes to the stage. So it was just like him just sitting there on his own as another driver, and it's like I was thought like, this is what an amazing special moment, me and Mark and Paul, And then literally turn around, there's like 13 people, all heads out the door, watching, doing the same thing. So I was like, that song to me has a huge, everyone from Boyz II Men to that moment that I talked about, to hearing him warm up doing it, yeah, it's
What a
one of my
moment.
favourites, yeah.
Wow. That's pretty class.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's awesome. When you're in the studio, has there ever been a moment where you've had to leave, take a deep moment, just to reset, spin your rainbow wheel, and go back in? You know, one of those moments where it's all too much. You've got too much going on in your head. You need to just go out, have a cup of tea or whatever, and just reset, and then go back in.
Do you mean in
In a working sense, when you're buzzing, when you're riffing, when you're throwing out tunes and lyrics and this, that, and the other,
Yeah.
is there a moment where you've got to stop, or is that the moment when you keep going, where you keep pushing
Oh, right.
yourself?
Well, because the way I'm interpreting that is the moments that that come to mind are moments where emotionally it becomes too much for me.
Right.
Because going to the well and saying those things that you've been holding on to for years, you know, stuff about maybe my parents passed away or some stuff like that, it really feels like you're having almost like a therapy breakthrough. Because it's writing songs is very therapeutic. We're trying to get our insides out. So there's a lot of moments and times where, you know, people talk about, you know, receiving the song or whatever. It's like it's the truth coming out. It'll take your breath away. It'll punch you in the stomach. It'll do all of those things. And there's been many times where I had to take a break because I'm just crying my eyes out in the booth. But I also know that that's what it takes for that in order to lay this down. So it's almost like a barrier. If I'm feeling this way about it, then it's important enough that the world would need to hear it. Not that they have to hear it, but to share it with the world. We've been out 20 years now, nearly.
Is it 20 years?
20 years as a band, 2008. Yeah, I know, it's insane. I know I don't look at it.
Feels like yesterday.
I know, yeah. The songs that I sing every night, I love The Man Who Can't Be Moved, I love Break Even, I love these songs. But the people that I was writing them about at the time have moved on. I've moved on. I'm now married.
Interesting.
So I have to learn how to reframe those songs so I can sing them as powerful as I did when I was longing, and you're kind of, you know, yearning for that love to come back. So it's about reframing. So I'm kind of I'm working with this guy actually at the minute of how to reframe them, and to, instead of trying to sing something, or you know, you don't have that love for that person anymore, how can you reframe it? And so you start to bring other people and other aspects of your life that is now. So now I'm imagining breaking up with my wife, and what would that mean to me? And straight away I'm like back there. I'm straight back on that corner again. I would do exactly the same thing. So you can't fake it. You know when you see it, it's the truth.
Yeah.
The truth will fight for itself in a room, whether you're there to fight for it or not, whether you're there to talk or not, you know.
'Cause if one day you wake up and find that you're missing me, and your heart starts to wonder where all this earth got me, thinking maybe you'll come back here to the place that we meet. You see me waiting for you on the corner of the street. I'm not there.
Every great song is you're revealing a truth about yourself on the inside, but you're also holding up a mirror to everybody else, because we are all very similar. You know, love, loss, pain, grief. They're very similar emotions that we all feel. So yeah, I've had to stop myself a few times, mainly on the ones that feel the most.
Yeah.
The rawest of songs. You know, we wrote this song called If You Could See Me Now, which is a song that we wrote about. I was writing it about my mum and dad passing away. They both passed away on Valentine's Day. 10 years apart, but exactly the same day.
Now there are days when I'm losing my faith, because the man wasn't good, he was great. He'd say music was the home for your pain, and explain I was young, he would say, take that rage, put it on the page, take the page to the stage, blow the roof off the place. I'm trying to make you proud, do everything you did. I hope you're up there with God saying that's my kid. I still look for your face in the crowd. Oh, if you could see me now. Oh, if you could see me now.
My dad was a musician, but he died a year before the script happened. So he was the one who trained me. So for him not to be here to see this and to see all this success, it's like a fire in the sun. It'll never go out. So I, you know, try to take that into songs. I want people to hurt as much as I hurt, because that's a pain that's never going away. So the song If You Could See Me Now was directly about that. My mum and dad not being here, you know, I still look for your face in the crowd. Oh, if you could see me now. And it's just about, would you be proud of me? Would you not? Would you have a balanced side? But Mark, God rest his soul, his father passed when he was 13, and he's from a very rough area in Dublin as well. He had quite a tough upbringing. But to see somebody like that in the studio being able to articulate what that meant to him for his father to leave was insane. It was one of the best moments I've ever had in the studio. Because look, I know it might sound a bit big-headed and people go, "You're mad," but I was in the band, one of the best lyricists of all time. They teach his lyrics in Berkeley. We both of us never graduated from school. I've got dyslexia. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's going on? So the lyrics in that are, if you could see me now, would you recognise me? Would you pat me on the back or would you criticise me? Would you follow every line on my tear-stained face? Put your hand on my heart that was cold since the day you were taken away. I know it's been a while, but I can see it clear as day. Right now, I wish I could hear you say, I drink too much and I smoke too much Dutch. And if you can't see me now, then it's a must. You used to say I won't know a winner till it costs me. Like I won't know real love till I've loved and I've lost it. So if you lost a sister, someone's lost a mom. And if you lost a dad, then someone's lost a son. But we're all missing out. We're all missing out. So if you could take a second to look down at me now, it's like, he wrote that about his dad. And now I'm singing that about him on stage. So it's like there's generations of pain and truth and hurt.
Do you find it difficult singing that?
I find it difficult talking about it. I find it the whole way around, but the outpouring of what other people get out of it as well means that I find his talent so unique and so beautiful that how dare I not honour his memory and like I could retire the song and never sing it again. Yeah. But how dare I not do that?
I'm going to ask you a personal question. If it's too much, you don't have to answer it. When Mark became ill, did you have an open forum conversation about how much you loved him and all that kind of stuff? Yeah. It wasn't as long as you would have liked it to be because it was quite a short period of time between me finding out and him passing. But yeah, we did. Yeah, we had one. How'd you look on that? Well, I look back on it and go, we did. Even if we didn't have that conversation, I knew. Because I've known him since I was 13 years old, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's got to be that. Yeah. The next track, give me a minute. You all right? Yeah. Nah, dude. No, it's good. It's good. No, it's good. I thought I was on here holding on for dear life here, buddy. I'm like, you're on radio right now. I just think that when you have that relationship with a friend, it's special. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. Well, speaking of Mark, you've chosen Don McLean's Vincent, and this reminds you of him. Yeah, as if that last conversation wasn't a good punch. Yeah, I know. I'm ready for another. Yeah, well, that song in particular, I find it hard to get through, and I find it hard to listen to because of all those things. Of it's about a guy, Vincent van Gogh, who all his life was looking for acclaim. He died a poor man. Nobody ever realised, what he was as an artist. It's all well and good saying he's this and that now, but he never knew. And I find it so sad to think about that I always equate it to Mark. And I just think he knew that he was valued, and he knew that I loved him to bits, and I loved his lyrics, and I loved the way he was, but I just would love him to see, and I know he's around, but I'd love him to see the reaction and the outpour of support and love after he went, because it went exactly the way that I thought it would. It was just like he's had such an impact. There's not a day that goes by that someone doesn't walk up to me and tell me a story I've never heard about something beautiful he's done for them. But that's the type of guy he was, Yeah.
Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue.
just heard The Police and Every Breath You Take. Sting's voice had a big influence on you, is that right?
Yeah, definitely on the first album. There was two people that I was listening to a lot. One was obviously Sting. The second one was John Legend. But if you listen to those albums, I'm kind of doing a Sting impression in a weird way, because I wanted to sound like him, because he just sounded like his voice. There's only one other voice that sounds like his, that just every lyric you hear, it's just the sound is so silky and smooth, but it's got so much height to it as well, and passion. And I actually had a meeting with him outside here, BBC. We were playing outside in the not the foyer, the entrance.
Yeah.
One day, and he was doing an interview somewhere coming by, and I got so starstruck. All my fans are there. He walks over. I literally was like, I love your voice. And he's like, cool, man, cool. He just kept walking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new album, The User's Guide to Being Human. You recorded it in Topanga Canyon.
Yeah.
In LA. Is that thrift store still there at the bottom?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Is it? Love that shop.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Love that shop.
You've been there then. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that's where we wrote the first three albums, was up around there. Steve Kipner lives up there, and Andrew now lives up there. So I just want to recreate that magic of driving up the canyon.
Oh, beautiful
Sometimes,
place.
if a boulder's down, you're there for days. You have to go around the back.
The history of that canyon, with everyone who lived there during the 60s and the early 70s,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Yes, stunning place.
It just oozes art. It oozes creativity out of every bush that's on the mountainside.
Because all of them there's some of the best artists in the world are all there. They're your neighbours. They're like,
it's mad.
someone's doing stained glass next door. Someone's making, something out of clay. Someone's doing clothes. Someone's a, seamstress or whatever. And you're surrounded by incredible creativity. So you're like, if I'm not on it today, Colin Hay lives up there too.
There you
so
go.
you're like, if I'm not on it today, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And also the chances of you meeting someone who's supremely famous that you want to impress. So you're like, this song better be good, because if someone shows up to the studio, you know what I mean, you want to have something decent to play them. How the album started, so it's the user's guide to being human, because AI is just so insane these days. I just got back from our House of Commons is called the Dáil Éireann, and they were passing legislation over generative AI, which is, I found out proof 2 weeks ago that 125 of my songs, along with 21 million other songs, have been scraped or stolen basically, and being used for training data for five different data sets of of info. So AI is just impending. It just feels like big tech is breathing down everyone's neck. We're kind of losing a sense of who we are as people. I was in LA, and same thing. I was in Topanga Canyon. Down the bottom was down where Santa Monica Pier is, right? And I'm standing there, and there's a homeless guy behind me, and there's a food robot, right? So they kind of have these delivery robots. They're tiny little boxes with wheels on them, a little face on them. And the robot was trying to get past the homeless person. The homeless guy's kicking the thing and whatever. It's like so dystopian of a moment. And I'm standing on the corner. This Waymo goes by, a driverless car, and then there's two Teslas go by. And I'm like, the future is not some faraway thing, bro. We're living in it right now.
Yeah.
So I went up to the studio, and I said to Andrew, I just told him that story, because we were kind of looking for where we're going to start, where's the jump off point. And he said, tell me what we're doing if we're not human beings being human. And I was like, tell me what the hell we're doing if we're not human beings being human. Perfect. And it just felt like a really topical thing, but also that's how I feel. I do feel that if we don't have things to remind us about what it is to be human, creativity, having the chance to make mistakes.
Emotion's the big one, I think, with the AI. Can AI somehow create that emotion? Well, you brought me to tears. Can AI do that? I don't know whether it can.
I don't believe it can, but I believe the people who can do it should be compensated for being able to do it. Because if it is, it's not able to come up with anything itself, but it's training on all my feelings and my emotions and my lived experience, my 40 odd years that I've been here on the planet. I think we can be compensated for that. But again, I feel the heart and soul that's in music, and trying to remember to be human. Like you said, we were talking about making mistakes. That's one of the most important things, to feel free enough to do that. With social media is like a blood sport these days.
Yeah.
Trying to stick your neck
Good
out.
quote.
sticking your neck out and sticking something online, you got to look at the algorithms and you got to look at, well, what's their business model? It's discourse.
Yeah.
You know, to see if you put something up, you know, what's a mean person shouting into the void? Nothing, unless somebody shouts back. So underneath every post, there's a comment section. And in the comment section, there's bots. And in the comment section, the bots are fighting bots. Or you might say, oh, he sounds great today. And then the next person goes, he sounds like a bag of whatever. And then there's a bit of discourse. So it gets the heart, you know, going, gets the dopamine kicked in. And then you're on here looking at what's he going to say? What are they going to say? That's just a race to the bottom, in my opinion, you know?
No, I get it. But let's flip the coin. Let's make it a positive. I've seen you numerous times performing live, and you're going to be performing at Radio 2 in the Park.
Yeah.
Is that when all the hard work is done and now you can absolutely shine on stage?
Yeah, I mean, because I feel I'm super excited about the album. I obviously want people to hear it. And then there's that moment where it's those expectations of, I think the song's going to pop off with a crowd, and it doesn't. And then the one that you didn't know, suddenly everyone's popping around to that one. So it's music is so unexpected in that way. But we've had, you know, the past year, we had, God, years ago when we did the U2 support, we got a call from Take That to say, look, would you guys do our circus tour? So we were like one of the only bands to be able to do Take That and U2 in the same year, you know. But we just recently got asked, we just finished off doing their circus tour. The boys called us up again and said, look, we're going out, we're bringing the same tour back out. Would you guys come and be part of it again? Obviously, we got a lot more hits now. We had like We Cry was out or something at the time, you know. So now we got like, so it was a like double bill kind of vibe for value for money for ticket goers and stuff, or for concert goers. So we did that. Now we played to 700,000 people over the course of that, and then we're playing with Luke Combs now in Slane, so that's another 160,000 people at the weekend.
Wow.
So you're catching us at, like, we couldn't be any more in time and on tune and in shape right now, you know what I mean? And we've got new music coming out, so yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, perfect. Look forward to it.
And the crowd was singing Wonderwall, and all the world looked beautiful. And suddenly I'm back in 1983. Before the fights, before the tears, before the heads and socks and years. If they can work it up, then why can't we?
I guess a track that you've chosen, your last track on your 10-track journey by Bob Dylan, The Times, They Are a-Changin'.
Ooh, the times they are changing.
Summarises your whole week, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
how you've evolved, you know, from that young kid with Phil Lynott in the bath.
Yeah.
And now you taking to the stage and writing great tracks and stuff. Times have changed.
Yeah, I love this song because it like with Don McLean's song, Vincent, I just think it's probably the most perfect lyric song that's ever been written. Even Bob Dylan can't believe he wrote that song. He's like, I don't know what I was doing. I wrote it. I don't know if I could do it again. There's some lines in that which I could write a million songs for the rest of my life and I'll never come close to it. So you have to bow down, you get on your knees and just sit at the altar of Bob Dylan. That song in particular, oh my, every single line is just better than the one that was there previous to it. So yeah, thank you so much for giving us a bar that I'll never reach.
Well, Danny, thank you so much. That was an amazing and emotional 10-track journey
thank
on
you so
Tracks
much.
of My Ears.
I can't believe I held it back as well, Rob. No, but I appreciate you being honest and being open like that as well. It means a lot.
Senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. The battle outside raging will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times they are a-changin'.